Okay, for today, it's kind of a fun day for me because I get to teach you kind of some really important, good stuff because we're a day ahead. Some of the classes are testing today. So we're just going to take some time to take the first 20 in class. So do a little bit of review for that. I want to give you 2 points, 2 comma 3, and 4 comma negative 7. And I want to see if you remember how to do some basic things that will be handy for the ACT and it would be handy for you to know for its pre-calc next year and maybe even this semester a little bit. Midpoint, distance formula, and the equation that goes through them. Did I tell you the Fight Club story for the distance? Okay, just a quick reminder. You walk into a big long warehouse. And for those of you that remember the story, which the whole point is you remember stories better than you remember formulas. What was fighting? All right. I know half of you guys weren't even here that first semester, so I'm going to say the story again. Okay, so here's the fight. A fight club, first of all, is where, like in the evening, people get together. It's kind of like boxing, except it's usually, if you're going to do a true fight club, it might be even barehanded. The people just like, it's kind of a weird thought. There's a movie based on this. That the first rule of Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah. All right. But anyway, I'm breaking that rule. So the Fight Club here is you walk in and it's kind of smoky in there and there's a whole bunch of people like standing around this fight between two, well, normally it'd be two people, but in this case it was two X's. These two X's are fighting each other and these people are like betting on the results and it's kind of loud in there. And if you add all of those elements, it actually increases the probability you'll remember the story. And so you're thinking this is kind of strange. There's two X's fighting in there. One of the X's with his big X arms is like trying to pound on the other X. And anyway, so the X's are fighting each other. That's important because if you get it confused with what's fighting, that'd be bad. The X's are fighting each other, and fighting means subtract. And then, one more thought. They're fighting in like, you know, in boxing in the old days, it was just a simple square. They had like, you know, posts up, and they called it the ring, but it wasn't a circle. It was a square. They're fighting in a square. Get it? Squared. Okay. And then you walk back to the back of the fight club because you see it looks like there's another fight going on way back there. So you're walking and it's kind of dark in between the two fights and you trip over something. Ouch, dang it, that hurt. When you look down and you're like, who puts a plus sign right in the middle between these two fights? I mean, it's dark here. You can't even see that. People are going to trip and kill themselves. So you trip on a plus sign. Think about it. Would you have tripped on a minus sign? No, it'd be just laying on the floor, right? You wouldn't even have seen it. You would have just stepped right over it. Okay, anyway, you trip over a plus sign and take a wild guess what you think is fighting in the back. A couple of Y's. And the Y's that are fighting are lashing their tails at each other whoosh, because they fight differently. Okay, so anyway, but it wouldn't really be fair to have an X fight a Y because, you know, the Y would be able to lash his tail and give him a big advantage. So anyway. All right, and it's squared, of course, too. There's the distance formula in case you've never heard the distance formula story before. I have found that retention of the formula goes up dramatically if the kid knows the story. Really. All right, now I know not everybody's really doing it right. You're not visualizing the story. I need some good artist to draw me a picture of the Fight Club. That'd be so cool. Got a couple X's fighting in the front, kind of like looking in the distance. You can see this little glimmer of a plus sign in between the two fights, and then in the back there's another group of people around a couple of Y's. That would be so cool. I should commission an artist. Anyway. All right, so there's a quick reminder. Would you please answer the 3 questions? What is the distance, the midpoint, and the equation for them? I'll go over it again in a minute, but you should be able to do these 3. It's kind of a warm-up for the first 20 that you're going to take today, which I know some of you are like, I already did this. Well, you need to do it again To master something, you do it over and over again. What do you think the basketball coach would say if you said, I've already done free throws? Do them again. It'll make you better. Get me more fluent in it. And make less mistakes. Okay, so, and yes, you are getting a test back, but later in the hour. And your only homework for the weekend, if you want to get started ahead of time, is I'll tell you ahead of time. If you finish this up super quick and you're like waiting around for something to do, your homework for tonight is going to be to go to Algebra Ninja. Algebra Ninjas, J, not a G.com/ACT. And there you're going to find the top 20 version 4. Notice not the first 20, the top 20. They're harder. There's things on there that aren't on the first 20. And I'm hoping after this first 20, you'll see that you got most of these down. But the top 20, there might be several you don't have down. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to work on these. I'll be back. Okay, so we have the midpoint was calculated right there. And it looks like they added them together and divided by 2. What's the name for doing that process? Adding together and dividing by how many there were. Averaging. You just average the x's and you average the y's. Raise your hand if you had 3, -2. Okay, awesome. The next one, distance. The distance is this one subtracted and then squared. Well, does it matter what order? A lot of people ask me that. Doesn't there have to be sub 2 and then sub 1 and stuff? Nope. Because if I do 4 minus 2 or 2 minus 4, I'm going to get 2 or -2, and when I square it, it won't matter. Okay, so then I have a 4 for that, and then this one, -7 minus 3 makes -10, and I square it, makes 100. 100 plus the 4 makes the 104. It was right, whoever did that one. Raise your hand if you did that one. Nice work. And then the last one is the equation, and we have the slope so far. I usually give half credit for finding the slope. That's a good start. But then how do you finish it? I like to have this formula memorized for that last one. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. How many of you already have that memorized? That's like in your brain already. Okay, awesome. If you don't, then if you notice from all the hands, you're a little behind. You need to memorize that one. Or maybe I should make you a Fight Club story for it. Anyway, I'm not going to do that right now. -5 goes here. And then what goes here and here? It's called point slope. So what do you think that is? Yes. It's a point. Yeah. The x and the y go here and here. Okay, so which point? Well, you pick either one. Doesn't matter. Might as well pick the one without negatives. So 2, 3. If I put in a x is 2 and a y is 3, y minus 3 equals -5, x minus 2. A lot of people feel like that's not done until you solve it for y. You can do that, but you don't have to. It's an equation without solving it for y. Solving it for y is typically a more common form of the equation, but this would have been fine. All right, so with that little bit of review, I want to remind you of 2 things. One, this is a process, and if we take this quiz, some of you are going to ace it. I guarantee you there's going to be 2 or 3 kids that perfect. There's others that get 2 or 3 wrong because you make more dumb mistakes than other people. How do you get better at that? By practicing. And then lastly, there's going to be a small subset of people that are like, whoa, I didn't know like 5 of those. There's videos on every one of them. You just got to go to Algebra Ninja, find this file, open it, and there's little video links right there, and it can teach you anything you don't know. All right, and your homework for tonight is to go to Algebra Ninja and do that top 20 version 4, and that's a top 20, not a first 20. Okay, that's all I got for you for the video for today. The tests are getting back today for those that finished the test.